Welcome to this introduction to Azure PowerShell and the Az module. In this video, you'll learn how to manage Azure resources directly from the command line using PowerShell. The Az module is a powerful set of tools that brings automation and control to your Azure environment. Whether you're new to Azure or PowerShell, this guide will help you get started with the essential skills needed for cloud resource management. The Az module is a set of PowerShell Cmdlets, or commandlets, designed specifically for managing Azure resources directly from the command line. It provides powerful automation capabilities that make managing your cloud infrastructure much easier. The Az module replaces the older AzureRM module and is the modern, actively maintained solution from Microsoft. It works across multiple platforms including Windows, Linux, and macOS, giving you flexibility in how you manage your Azure environment. Most importantly, it provides complete coverage of all Azure services, meaning you can manage virtually any resource in Azure using PowerShell commands. There are several compelling reasons to use the Az module for managing Azure. First, it provides enhanced security and stability with features like token encryption, protection against man-in-the-middle attacks, and continuous access evaluation to keep your resources secure. Second, it's automation-ready, making it perfect for CI/CD pipelines and infrastructure as code workflows. Third, it offers universal support for all Azure services, with regular API updates and bug fixes to ensure everything runs smoothly. Finally, it includes advanced features like access tokens, REST operations, and seamless integration with Azure Cloud Shell, giving you powerful tools for complex resource management tasks. Getting started with the Az module is straightforward. First, make sure you have PowerShell version 5.1 or higher installed on your system, though PowerShell 7 or higher is recommended for the best experience. To install the Az module, open PowerShell and run the command. Install -module -name as -repository -force. This command downloads and installs the module from the PowerShell gallery. If you don't have administrator rights on your computer, you can add the -scope current user parameter to install it just for your user account without needing elevated permissions. Before you can manage Azure resources, you need to authenticate and connect to your Azure account. The primary command for this is Connect-AzAccount. When you run this command, it will open your web browser and prompt you to sign in with your Azure credentials. This is the default interactive browser login method. However, there are other authentication methods available depending on your needs. You can use service principal authentication for automated scripts or managed identity authentication when running code in Azure services like virtual machines or Azure functions. Each method has its use case, but interactive login is the simplest way to get started. Understanding the naming pattern of Azure PowerShell Cmdlets makes them much easier to discover and use. All Cmdlets follow a consistent structure: a verb followed by -as, then the service name, and finally the resource type. For example, get-as VM retrieves information about virtual machines. New -as resource group creates a new resource group. Remove -as storage account deletes a storage account. And set -as web app modifies settings for a web app. This consistent naming pattern means once you understand it, you can often guess the correct cmdlet name for the task you want to accomplish. To effectively manage Azure resources, you need to understand three key concepts. First is the subscription, which serves as the billing and access boundary for all your Azure resources. Think of it as your Azure account container. Second is the resource group, which is a logical container that holds related Azure resources together. For example, you might group all resources for a web application in one resource group. Third is the individual resource itself, such as a virtual machine, database, or storage account. Understanding this hierarchy helps you organize and manage your Azure environment more effectively. There are three fundamental operations you'll use constantly when managing Azure resources. The get operation retrieves information about existing resources. For example, get-as resource list resources in your subscription. The new operation creates new Azure resources, such as new-as resource group, which creates a new resource group. And the remove operation deletes existing resources, like remove-as resource, which removes a specified resource from Azure. These three operations form the foundation of resource management, and you'll use them in almost every PowerShell session when working with Azure. Let's look at practical examples of working with resource groups. To create a new resource group, use new-as resource group -name my resource group -location East US . This creates a resource group in the East US region. To list all your resource groups, simply run get-as resource group, which displays all resource groups in your current subscription. To delete a resource group and all the resources it contains, use remove-as resource group -name my resource group -force. The force parameter skips the confirmation prompt. Be careful with this command as it permanently deletes the resource group and everything inside it. Here's a practical example that combines what you've learned. Let's create a resource group for a web application and deploy a web app into it. First, run new-as resource group -name web app rg -location West Europe to create the resource group. Then, run new-as web app -name demo -web 0 1 resource group name web app rg -location West Europe -app service plan default plan . This workflow demonstrates the typical pattern. Create a resource group first, then deploy your resources into that group, specifying the region and any required parameters like the hosting plan. This approach keeps your resources organized and makes them easier to manage. Following best practices ensures your Azure environment stays organized, secure, and manageable. First, use tags on your resources for cost tracking, organization, and to enable automation workflows. Tags are key value pairs that help categorize resources. Second, establish and follow consistent naming conventions across all your resources and groups. This makes it much easier to identify resources and understand their purpose at a glance. Third, apply role-based access control, or RBAC, to limit permissions appropriately. Only give users the minimum access they need to do their jobs. Finally, automate your deployments using scripts and templates. This ensures consistent, repeatable deployments and reduces the chance of human error when creating or modifying resources. Let's recap what you've learned in this video. The Az module is the modern, recommended way to manage Azure resources with PowerShell, replacing the older AzureRM module. The Cmdlets follow a consistent naming pattern that makes them easy to discover and use. Resource groups help you organize and manage related resources together as logical units. And following best practices ensures your deployments are secure, organized, and scalable. Now that you have these fundamentals, you're ready to explore more advanced topics like automation workflows, ARM templates, and enterprise-scale deployments. Keep practicing with these commands, and you'll soon be managing Azure resources like a pro. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.